Dear finance professionals and students, welcome to podcast of FCA Deepak Rao, a practicing chartered accountant. Weekly digest for week 2 of November 2024. Apple could double its iPhone production in India to over $30 billion annually if the US imposes tariffs on Chinese imports. This shift could create 200,000 jobs and increase India's share in iPhone production to over 26%. However, the move depends on US policy and India's ability to address cost and policy challenges. The centre may soon raise the wage ceiling and lower the headcount threshold under the Employees Provident Fund Organisation or EPFO as it aims to enhance and widen coverage for bolstering social security for workers. The current wage ceiling under EPFO is Rs 15,000 per month, which could be raised to up to Rs 21,000 per month in line with the wage ceiling under the Employee State Insurance Corporation. Further, the mandatory threshold in an organisation for joining the EPFO may be lowered to 10 to 15 employees from current 20. The Ministry of Labour and Employment is currently discussing the matter with stakeholders. Vistara is set to merge with Air India, leaving India with only one full-service carrier. This marks the end of Vistara's journey and the decline of full-service carriers in India over the past 2 decades. The merger also signifies the conclusion of another Indian airline jointly owned by a foreign carrier after the 2012 FDI liberalization. Indigo is planning to venture into business class. The merger creates a stronger competitor for Indigo, while Indigo's move challenges Air India's dominance in the premium market. Both airlines are adapting to meet the demands of India's rapidly growing aviation sector. India's corporate travel market is experiencing a surge as business travel rebounds, leading to fierce competition among online travel agencies and airlines. Driven by the return to office and hybrid work models, corporate travel is projected to double in the next 6 years, reaching $20.8 billion by financial year 30, according to a Deloitte report. The Supreme Court of India reinstated tax notices worth an estimated Rs 20,000 to Rs 23,000 crore issued by the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence or DRI to several major corporations including Vedanta Limited, Vodafone Idea Limited, Adani Enterprises and Indian subsidiaries of Sony, Samsung and Canon. These notices, pending since 2006, were revived following a ruling that affirmed the DRI's authority to issue show-cause notices under Section 28 of the Customs Act. The ruling overturns a previous 2021 judgment that limited DRI's scope and led to widespread quashing of tax notices by various tribunals. The reinstated notices are part of a long-standing legal battle following the Supreme Court's 2021 Canon ruling, which stated that DRI was not the proper officer to conduct customs investigations. This decision resulted in significant setbacks for the DRI, weakening its authority over tax recovery cases. In response, the government filed a review petition emphasizing the financial implications tied to the unresolved tax notices. Reliance Industries Limited is set to invest a record Rs 65,000 crore in Andhra Pradesh. The company plans to establish 500 compressed biogas plants over the next 5 years, generating an estimated 250,000 jobs. This landmark investment, the largest outside Gujarat for Reliance Industries Limited, aligns with the state's clean energy initiatives and promises significant economic benefits, including increased farmer incomes. Bhartiya Family and Goldman Sachs are joining forces for a significant deal. They are planning to acquire a large stake in Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages, the bottling arm of Coca-Cola in India. Goldman Sachs will provide substantial financial backing for this venture. The deal involves a planned future listing of HCCB, allowing Goldman Sachs to exit strategically. This move mirrors PepsiCo's successful strategy with Varun Beverages. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India recently released a major update, revising the classification criteria for non-company entities under the Accounting Standards Framework. This revision simplifies the existing structure by consolidating the previous 4 levels into 2 categories, MSMEs and large entities. With this streamlined classification, the update brings clear compliance guidelines requiring large entities to fully adhere to all accounting standards while providing MSMEs with certain exemptions and relaxations. This updated framework, effective for accounting periods beginning on or after April 1, 2024, offers greater clarity and ease of compliance for non-company entities. RBI has designated 10-year sovereign green bonds issued in the second half of financial year 24-25 as eligible for non-resident investment under the fully accessible route or FAR. Through FAR, certain specified categories of central government securities were opened fully for non-resident investors without any restrictions, apart from being available to domestic investors. In line with Section 9 of the MSME Development Act 2006, the central government has mandated that all companies registered under the Companies Act 2013 with a turnover of more than Rs 250 crore and all central public sector enterprises be onboarded on the Trade Receivables Discounting Systems platform as notified by the RBI. The onboarding process for these entities must be completed by March 31, 2025. Bain Capital is in talks to acquire a controlling stake in Manapuram Finance, betting on the country's gold loan sector. This comes as the founding family of the Kerala-based non-bank lender and leading gold loan provider is revisiting plans to exit partially or fully. Manapuram and others in the segment have been battling heightened regulatory scrutiny and falling valuations as mixed success in diversification has intensified near-term headwinds. Apple India's dividend payout to its Irish holding company more than doubled to Rs 3,300 crore in financial year 24, exceeding its net profit for the first time. This comes as iPhone sales surged in the country, boosting Apple India's revenue by 36%. While analysts acknowledge the impressive revenue, they also point to stagnant operating margins and increased inventory as potential challenges. Japan's wholesale inflation increased to 3.4% in October, exceeding market expectations due to a weaker yen and rising import costs. The rise in inflation, driven by higher prices for rice, metals, food and oil, poses a challenge for the Bank of Japan as it considers further interest rate hikes. Reliance Retail is temporarily closing down its Centro stores across India to revamp the format. The company plans to prioritize its own brands like Azote and Yoshita, potentially phasing out some of the 450 local and global brands currently sold. The Goods and Services Tax Portal's recently launched Invoice Management System or IMS is set to significantly decrease the number of notices issued over input tax credit or ITC discrepancies, potentially easing compliance burdens and reducing litigation. Currently, around 10% of all notices issued by the GST department relate to ITC discrepancies, primarily caused by mismatches in invoices filed by suppliers and those reported by recipients. The IMS, which will be available on the GST portal starting November 14, 2024, introduces a feature allowing recipient taxpayers to either accept, reject, or keep invoices pending, enhancing accuracy and reducing common errors in input tax credit claims. Tata Sons is restructuring Tata Motors by creating a holding company for its passenger and commercial vehicle businesses which will be demerged into separate entities. This move aims to unlock value and enable independent capital raising for each business, with a potential listing of the electric passenger vehicle arm in the future. NARCL has increased its bid to acquire the debt of Jai Prakash Associates to Rs 12,000 crore. The revised offer comes as the company's appeal against insolvency proceedings is pending. The offer involves an upfront cash payment and security receipts guaranteed by the government. Lenders are currently evaluating the offer as a potential resolution to the long-delayed insolvency case. The Reserve Bank of India was conducting a scrutiny over the past 6 months or so, and that culminated into the decision to bar errant lenders from doing business from October 21st for charging excessive interest rate spreads over their cost of funds. Several microfinance lenders in India have now reduced their lending rates in recent months following regulatory scrutiny from the Reserve Bank of India, which aims to ensure fair and transparent pricing for borrowers at the bottom of the pyramid. India's real estate sector is experiencing a surge in sales. Mid-size firms are making a comeback. These firms are focusing on niche developments and catering to changing consumer preferences. The revival follows a period of consolidation after regulatory reforms in 2017. Mid-size firms are capitalizing on the increased demand for residential properties in major cities. The National Financial Reporting Authority, or NFRA, held its 18th meeting on 11th and 12th November 2024 and approved its standards on quality control. It recommended revision of the Standard on Quality Control SQC1 as Standards on Quality Management SQM1 and SQM2 on the lines of the Global Standards on Quality Management ISQM1 and ISQM2, with minor contextual changes, to the central government for notifying under Section 143 subsection 10 of the Companies Act 2013. Also, it recommended SA 600 revised on the lines of the global standard ISA 600, with some minor contextual changes, to the central government for notifying under Section 143 subsection 10 of the Companies Act 2013. The SA 600 revised and the relevant confirming adjustments in other SAs are proposed to be applicable only to public interest entities except public sector banks, PSUs, and their branches respectively. The Income Tax Department is investigating landowners in India who may have avoided paying capital gain tax. These landowners had partnered with builders under joint development agreements. The investigation focuses on agreements where landowners received apartments or commercial space in newly constructed buildings but did not pay taxes after receiving completion certificates. Homegrown wearable and audio products brand Boat has finalized ICICI Securities, Goldman Sachs, and Nomura as bankers for a $300 to $500 million IPO next year, joining the queue of new age firms looking to go public. New Delhi-based Boat may aim for a valuation of over $1.5 billion. Adding these numbers may change closer to the IPO filing. It's targeting a public offer in the next financial year. Indian companies excluding oil and gas reported solid double-digit profit growth for the 7th consecutive quarter, although the pace of expansion slowed. While banks and finance companies performed well, overall earnings were subdued due to a higher base effect and rising interest costs. Reliance Industries Limited, Viacom 18, and the Walt Disney Company have finalized the merger of Viacom 18's media and Jio Cinema businesses with Star India. The newly formed venture, valued at approximately $8.5 billion, brings together popular brands like Star, Colors, Jio Cinema, and Hotstar under a single umbrella. This joint venture follows approvals from regulatory authorities, including the National Company Law Tribunal in Mumbai, the Competition Commission of India, and global antitrust bodies from the EU, China, Turkey, South Korea, and Ukraine. SEBI has simplified the registration process for certain foreign portfolio investors, or FPIs. FPIs may be provided with an option to fill out the entire Common Application Form, or CAF, or an abridged version of CAF, that is a version of CAF where applicants fill only those fields that are unique to them. If the applicant opts for this abridged version of CAF, the remaining fields shall either be auto-populated from the information available in the CAF module or disabled as applicable. Vodafone Idea's financial turnaround is in jeopardy as its Rs 25,000 crore debt funding plan faces delays following the Supreme Court's AGR ruling. The delay has raised concerns about Vodafone Idea's ability to invest in 4G and 5G expansion, crucial for competing with rivals Jio and Airtel. Analysts predict government intervention, including converting dues into equity, to prevent a collapse. Indian companies including HUL and Diageo are adopting flexible benefits programs to cater to the diverse needs of their multi-generational workforce. These programs allow employees to customize their benefit packages by choosing from a range of options such as health insurance, wellness programs, and financial counseling, leading to increased employee satisfaction and retention. Major electronics companies like Samsung, Apple, and Whirlpool are importing less, marking a potential first-time occurrence. This shift is attributed to the Make in India initiative promoting local manufacturing and component sourcing. While mobile phone localization is steadily increasing, home appliances have achieved significant local sourcing as well. Walt Disney reported a $1.5 billion impairment charge related to its Star India transaction, reflecting a fair value adjustment. The charge includes $800 million in cumulative foreign currency translation losses. Disney completed the merger of Star India with Reliance Industries Viacom18, creating JioStar on November 14th. Indian banks are turning to certificates of deposit, or CDs, to bridge the gap between loan demand and deposit growth. CD issuances have surged by 69% this fiscal as banks compete for deposits amid tight liquidity. Analysts predict that deposit rates will remain elevated despite anticipated rate cuts. The Goods and Services Tax Network, or GSTN, has identified an issue where some taxpayers are seeing duplicate invoices in GSTR 2B for both September 2024 and October 2024. The GSTN team is actively working to resolve this matter and assures taxpayers that the issue is being addressed on priority. This podcast is sponsored by Sound of CA. We share because we care. Vande Mataram, Jai Hind.